All right, so we're gonna do a little review here on Godfall. Me and my buddy Helmet went through and played co-op. We have about a little over 13 hours in, beat the game, the story at least. We didn't do any of the extracurricular activities, I guess you would say, side quests. Um, so what do you, Helmet? What do you think about the graphics?
Well, I would say the graphics overall pretty great. Honestly, that's probably where they spent the majority of their time and money, if I had to guess.
Yeah, definitely. Um, would you say
It's
like,
a little teaser for later.
yeah? Would you say like, how good? Like 1 out of 10. Like what would you give them?
uh, it was like there were a couple of little things that I would like nitpick, kind of. Like some of the backgrounds in the skybox looked kind of 2D, especially in the DLC part, I would say. But overall, I mean, it looks pretty good, pretty polished. All the enemies looked pretty great. There were a couple of issues we had early on, I guess, with the bloom and the lighting. Like the lighting and the bloom, I don't know, for whatever reason, was turned up to 11, I would say.
Yeah, the bloom. I would agree. The bloom was ridiculous. I know you had some brightness issues, which I mean, my game was the, pretty bright as well, but I think you had a few more issues with the brightness than I did. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and that might have to do with my monitor, but it was like so you could in the game you could switch between normal mode and like a spirit mode that would mark all the loot and stuff, all the treasure boxes and whatnot. But in that mode, I don't know, I could never use it for more than 5 minutes, or else my eyes would just start hurting. I'd start to get a headache.
yeah, they definitely went a little crazy with the bloom and the brightness. Yeah, but I mean overall, I would agree. I would say everything looked great. A little
Yeah,
stability issues, I would say, in the DLC, the expansion. Frame rate wise, at least for me. I know you had dropped a
yeah,
few frames during certain scenes. But I mean overall, I mean I'd say like 8 out of
yeah,
10, maybe a 9 out of 10
yeah.
graphics.
Yeah, I would give it 7.5 probably,
Mm.
but just for those small issues and for the performance issues we had at the end. But this was a game that was only made by 75 people. I looked this up after
Oh,
we. Yeah,
really?
so only 75 people worked on this. I don't know if there was like contract work as well that went out there, but this was like a double A studio at the time.
Oh, okay. I guess I
Uh,
didn't know that. I thought they were AAA.
no, no. So they were published by Gearbox, which is a AAA studio. But yeah, Interplay Games was the one that made this, and at the time they only had about 75 people. That's what I read.
Okay,
So
okay.
for 75 people, I think the graphics look like pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I would agree. But like you said, we'll get into a little further here. The graphics that they definitely spent a lot of time on for sure.
Oh yeah, that looks great.
Moving on, we're gonna hit the sound and music. Um, Me personally, I mean, I come from playing a lot of Final Fantasy, so Final Fantasy
High
is,
expectations.
yeah, I have pretty high expectations. I mean, as far as sound and music and just I mean, video games in general, honestly. I mean, the music,
Makes sense.
it was, it was good, but repetitive, I guess. I mean, it was always
Yeah,
the same, like hero fantasy. Like it was the same track. Maybe I mean there what would you say? Maybe 5 different tracks, maybe.
I couldn't say honestly because in like I could I couldn't really tell you like obviously there's the main theme, and then
Yeah.
there's like the boss themes. I think they had multiple of those, but I couldn't really tell you if they did or not. Um, but overall, I think the music was pretty great, if a bit generic, like you said. But I
Yeah.
think it still was pretty decent. It did what they wanted it to do, I think. It pumped you up during some of the bosses. I think it could have been better, um, but it wasn't spectacular. The main theme was pretty great, but that's the only thing that sticks out in my mind. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, they did a good job of, like you said, placing the music where it needs to be placed as far as getting you pumped up. Um, the general sound, as far as like combat, was pretty good. I myself ran into a few weird sound issues where I felt like I don't even know how to describe it. It was almost like it was distorted at times when there's a lot going on,
Oh, really?
and I don't know if that was just maybe my setup or because I was streaming and playing on the same computer maybe as well.
That probably makes sense.
I mean, the sounds. I'm gonna be honest. I'll probably maybe a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, yeah, that seems fair. I'd probably give it a 6, but it's all right, but nothing spectacular. Could have been
Um,
better.
yes, definitely. Um, here's I have a feeling this is gonna be a short topic, but maybe a funny topic. The story in this game.
For a story?
Yeah, exactly. Like there was a story. Uh,
Yeah, probably the weakest part of this game is the story. The the pacing is not great, I would say. It follows a lot of video game logic where you go from here to there, then you go back to the hub, then you go to a different place and do the thing. Um, you talk to your subordinates, I guess you would call them, your captain and I, I don't even know what Source was, but he was some kind of elite soldier or something. Not really sure what his rank was, but yeah, he dies. Spoiler, and I felt nothing.
yes, they didn't do a good job of building a relationship with the characters at all. I mean,
No.
even the main characters, which what there was two, like you and no, I guess three. I
Yeah,
guess you and the main bad guy, and then
Macros.
yeah, So you, Macros, and then the seventh. What was she, Seventh Sanctum? Was that her name? Like I don't even remember her name.
Yeah.
Like
No, you had it right. Yeah, so you had Orin, which is the main character, which can be male or female, I guess. And then you have your captain, the Seventh Sanctum, and Soren and Macros, and that's it.
yeah, there just wasn't. I mean, It was your basic hero goes in and destroys the
Get
evil.
revenge.
Yeah, destroys the evil force. I mean, there was no twists. We thought there was going to be twists.
We gave it more credit than we were than it actually gave.
Like they could have done twists very easily with the story plot.
Yeah, for sure.
They just chose not to. So I mean,
Uh, yeah, for sure. And I will say, like, there are, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 cutscenes throughout the game, I think. They're
um,
all competent, I guess, but nothing really stuck out to me. And I didn't really feel anything for the characters, and yeah, the weakest part of the game, I would say.
for sure, for sure. What was the voice acting. The voice acting on 90% of the characters was terrible.
Yeah. I do have to give credit to Macros. Macros is probably has the best voice actor. I didn't look up who it was, but whoever it was, he did a good job, and the rest of them did all right. Oren is fine, and the rest of them not great.
Oh,
Uh,
the
Pretty forgettable.
DLC villain was pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's true. Almost forgot about him.
So yeah, the two villains were
Yeah.
pretty good voice acted wise. I mean, so
Actually, yeah. I'm so take 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 what I said back. Actually, I meant to say the demon guy in the DLC was probably the best voice actor, not Macros.
what was his name? Marasic? Was that his name? Something like
I
that.
started with an M.
Yeah.
So whatever.
We weren't invested in the story, as you can tell.
Forget the names. Yeah, pretty forgettable overall.
Story. I'm gonna be brutal. I'm giving it a 3. Um.
Oh, seems quite generous.
What do you? You're like a 1, a 0,
Yeah, I'll give it like a 2.
2. All right, 2. Um. What like the gameplay and mechanics? I actually thought were pretty good. Besides the
Yeah,
fact that we ran into each other trying to do our combos.
yeah, that's probably the worst part of the combat. For if you're playing co-op with this game, just know that you will probably attack your partner just about every fight.
Yes,
What we kind
yes.
of did, and we didn't really discuss this, was I would try to if I attacked one enemy, I would hope that you would go the other way, and if you initiated first, I would go to a different set of enemies and uh, try to attack them, and then inevitably we would just find ourselves uh, attacking each other or getting in the way of each other or whatnot. It's that the combat overall is pretty good. It's enjoyable, I would say, but it's not exceptional in any way either. The biggest thing for
Yes.
me, yeah, is so I played Warframe a lot, and all the Warframes, regardless of your weapons and stuff, all feel different. They all have different abilities. They all do different things usually, different powers. This is what's missing from this game, from the combat,
For
is
sure.
that the different frames. I'm just gonna call them frames. Uh,
That's
don't
fair.
don't feel different enough from each other. Now, we didn't take the time to try and unlock the different abilities of these
But
frames.
it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it was like you have to jump through so many
uh,
hoops to try and unlock
yeah.
the stuff, and that really brings it down for sure.
And
What are some of your thoughts?
no, I mean I agree with I agree with everything that you just said. I mean, like you could unlock different abilities, but yeah, there were so many hoops to jump through by the time you even were getting close or thinking about unlocking something even you'd probably be done with the game.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Because I mean, half of the fun is, oh, I want to go do this, be this frame now, or I want to try this frame out. But you can't unlock anything when you're jumping back and forth, and there's not enough content to stay into that one frame or unlock everything for each frame. There's just,
Yeah,
it's never gonna
exactly.
happen.
And it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the pacing, is that a lot of the pacing of this game is going back and getting more currency or upgrade material or doing the lieutenants for the bosses, which we didn't do, and it messes up uh, what I would say is like an okay game overall. Um, it 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 makes it so that you are constantly having to go back and do stuff in order to unlock the cool stuff, which is not a good way to pace a game.
Agree, 100%. Another thing that I remember we were talking about during combat is when we'd have our random like soldiers just teleport in to help us.
Yeah,
There's no way. There's no way to know that they're there helping us. I mean, how many times was it like,
hmm
oh, I'm attacking my own soldier?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Same.
Like, just put a marker above their head that's green or something, or
Yeah, outline them in green would
yeah.
have probably been the best, but yeah.
Um, the boss fights are actually pretty good. I mean, I will give it that. The boss fights were pretty
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, the for the most part. I think there were like two bosses in there that were more annoying than fun. But some of them had cool mechanical stuff that you had to do. There was that twin boss that we fought. That was kind of cool, where they would come back if you didn't do a heavy attack at the right time when they were regenerating.
Oh yeah, those were probably the most puzzly boss for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Um, that is, and then most of the bosses were cool. You know, you'd go in there, you'd have a little introduction, and then beat the crap out of them. Um, but the last boss we did with the three demons or whatever, that was probably the strongest boss that they had in there, I would say. I think that one was
For
probably
sure.
the most enjoyable for me. I don't
Same,
know how
same.
you felt.
No, yeah, the
Okay,
last
yeah.
boss was definitely the most enjoyable, just because there was so much going on. I mean, you got three different guys,
Yeah.
three different guys with probably 4 to 5 different abilities, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that one. The gold dude was probably the most generic, and I had the good luck of fighting him instead of the other dude. Because the other dude, he was teleporting all over the place, teleporting behind you and hitting you. It's like, oh my gosh, I can see how Josh was having such a hard time fighting this dude.
What was another boss that was? Oh, I would say the boss that I was most disappointed in was Macros.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, he was kind of a letdown.
for being such a, I guess he wasn't technically a god, but such a powerful Warframe or whatever Valor plate. You would think that he would be more difficult for one, and I thought his abilities. He had one annoying ability, the purple discs, that would
Right, yeah.
stun you or whatever. But he definitely wasn't the most difficult of the bosses
hmm
leading up to him. I wouldn't say.
Yeah, totally agree. Um, the like I don't think we even went down once during that boss fight, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back.
I don't think so
It
either.
was Yeah, it was pretty easy.
I know
And
you were like, I'm down to one potion or life stone or whatever, and that was about it.
yeah, yeah. Um, the the worst boss by far was that uh one dude who kept doing the bull rush attack in the snow place, and I don't know if it
Oh.
was glitched in our game or if that was supposed to happen, but he just kept doing the same attack over and over again, teleporting across the field,
Yeah.
and it was his health bar was so high, and it was so hard to damage him when he was in that state that it took us, I don't know, it probably took us 20 minutes to beat that guy. Maybe
Yeah,
less,
yeah,
but it felt like 20 minutes.
that guy was the most annoying for sure, I would say.
Yeah. But yeah, so, it kind of the most interesting part about the combat was leveling up into different abilities that you could do. You could do a shield slam that would damage enemies. You could I didn't really do it, but you could do like break damage. I don't remember exactly what you had to do that. You had a shield throw. You had two abilities for your weapons that you could do. and like a fury mode. Uh, there was a lot of different stuff. You had a counter move.
Yeah, I mean,
So it had a lot of stuff in there.
yeah, the combat was definitely engaging. It wasn't like you were just hitting two buttons.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different
Uh,
things you could do.
like the downside to this though is that you didn't really start off with some of these abilities, which I think is a detriment to the game as a whole. Is that why do I have to level up into an ability uh, to make my weapons have two different attacks? Like, why can't I just have that from the beginning?
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I would agree.
Uh,
Um, I mean, gameplay, I mean, maybe a 7 out of 10.
yeah, yeah, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It was enjoyable enough with the two of us. If I was playing this single player, I would definitely give this probably like a 5.
That is true. If that's something we should probably say, you'd have to. I guess I shouldn't say you have to, but I would highly recommend you play this with a friend or two.
If you pick this up.
Yeah, if you pick this up, because playing this solo would just be straight boredom, I feel like.
Oh yeah. Not to mention all the time that we had to spend like just figuring out what new stuff to put onto our characters and to dismantle all the other crap that we had in our inventories.
Yeah, and I still don't know what half of the stats mean. Like,
Yeah. So I like you had three main stats: vitality, might, and spirit. Which spirit is pretty much irrelevant because I think it only affected your damage for your two abilities that you get on your weapons. And vitality, obviously, with health, and then might is just straight damage. So spirit was like a dump stat, basically. Like,
yeah,
you maybe had one thing that you equipped that did spirit, and then all the rest you focused on might and vitality, which is what I did. I don't know how yours setup was, but that's how I
I
did
went.
mine.
I was
We
all
did fine.
raw. I was all raw stats. I just went straight raw stats. So
Gotcha.
crit hit, crit damage, vitality, spirit, resistance, health recovery. Just like
That's another thing too, is that like I never really noticed, except when it was very noticeable that I was on fire or poisoned or whatever.
yeah, that is true. None of the I guess the fire in the
Yeah,
DLC hurt quite a bit, but that was about it.
it did. Yeah, that was the only time that I ever really noticed that.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I'd say seven's fair.
Yeah.
Moving on, I think this next thing is gonna be pretty short. Replayability, I'm gonna give it. I'm just gonna straight 0 out of 10. I'm gonna uninstall this game. I don't think there's any reason once you beat the game you should go back unless you really are just in love with this game to play more. I mean, there's a multiplayer mode
Yeah.
once you hit max level, but you have to be max level. So I
What?
mean, even if we wanted to go in there and try out multiplayer, we can't. We're not max level after beating
Yeah.
the game. So
And the DLC, which is pretty
yeah,
crazy.
and I don't have any desire to level to level 50. I'm just
Hmm.
being honest.
Yep. No, same.
I,
I totally agree.
I,
No replayability really, unless you're really into it.
I mean, there was the tower mode we did one time. We got to the 10th floor. I mean
Yeah.
that's hack and slash, just killing enemies for 10
Hmm.
floors.
Yep.
And then there was
And the keys.
the spirit world where you just would run around and pick up more loot that most of it's probably not an upgrade, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I was reading about the spirit realm in there, in the game. And apparently you have to switch into spirit mode in order to damage enemies in there and then switch back to fight regular enemies, it sounded kind of like. which I was not going to do anyway
No,
because
that's
it hurts
just
my eyes.
yeah, that just sounds tedious.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean replayability, I'm giving it a 0.
Totally. Next category.
That's it. That's all
Okay.
I got.
All right.
I
What's your thoughts
mean,
overall?
overall, if it's on sale and you got a friend that you want to play it with, I'd probably pick it up for, I don't even remember what I paid, about 15 bucks, I think. So
Yeah, I think
something
it
like
was
that.
like I bought the Ultimate Edition or whatever, and it was like 16 or something,
Yeah.
16.50.
So I mean, on a sale, if you got a buddy who you're gonna play it through with, go for it. I mean, we had a good time. I mean, I'm not gonna say we didn't have a good time.
Yeah,
You're gonna
yeah, it
run
was
in. You're gonna laugh about some some instances like we did, but
for sure. It is just it's an okay game, I would say. But and this is the most important thing. If you play the DLC, it's a 0 out of 10 for me because they introduce, oh, maybe you'll fight this dragon, and then you don't.
I totally forgot about that.
Fuck this game.
I do remember that the dragon. Yep, we never fought the dragon.
I said even I was like, oh, maybe once we play the dragon, maybe I'll be done with this game, and we never did. So we finished we finished it.
I think I even warned you. I said something about how we
Oh,
might never fight the dragon.
I was like, no, no. They
Yeah.
they clued us in. They hinted at it. It's foreshadowing.
So overall, what do you got? What do you got overall? 1 out of 10.
Let's see. I'll put it at like a 5 probably.
5. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So
It's a 4 if you're playing by yourself.
a 4, you're generous. If I was playing this by myself, I'd probably give it a 2.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
But yeah, 5 out of 10 if you're playing with somebody. A 4 or 2 if you're playing by yourself. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it if you're playing a solo. But
No, 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 no.
yeah, that's
And no
all we.
dragons.
Yeah, no
This game.
dragons. But that's all we got, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you,
Have
Helmet,
a
for.
good night.
Yes, have a good night.